All right, so the first House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer just dropped today. Today's kind of a busy day. I was also trying to get into the Fortnite event, but there was like an hour-long queue. I watched it. It was fine. Maybe I'll make a video about that, but probably not. House of the Dragon is much more interesting to me than Fortnite these days. Second season coming out this summer. They still haven't told us a release date. I was hoping we would get a release date with this teaser trailer today, but such was not the case. The trailer is really cool, though. I'm going to be showing, obviously, some images from the trailer during this video. I'm not going to actually post the trailer in this video. People do reactions and stuff like that, but I always find that I'm getting hit with copyright like notices and demonetized and all that stuff. So I don't want that to happen, which is stupid. The whole video thing with copyright and like music and movies and all that is really stupid. Anyways. We get a glimpse of the war to come. Obviously, in Season 1, things were not going so well for anybody. And that's the kind of the nature of this story. There's not really happy endings here. There's not really, like, characters who you can really love and root for. There's no real, Arya Stark or Jon Snow in House of the Dragon. In Martin's Fire and Blood, in his, the first part, he hasn't finished it, obviously, but the first part of the history of the Targaryen dynasty, sort of like the history of the Plantagenets, but with dragons, is very much those two things, fire and blood. There are, I take it back. I do think that King Viserys, I always say it wrong. King Viserys the First, Paddy Considine's character in the first season, man, he did a great job with that character. I think he was a very genuinely likable character who you could sort of root for, but whose weakness was exactly what made him so likable, right? He was a I don't want to say a weak king, but he was a compassionate one. He loved his children, both Rhaenyra and the children he had with Alicent. He loved Alicent, despite her clearly manipulating him because of her father Otto Hightower at the hand of the king. He was a kind man and a good man, and he wanted everyone to just get along. But his proclaiming Rhaenyra his heir really caused a lot of problems, especially once he'd remarried and had, Aegon, his first, son, who traditionally in this society would have gotten the crown. And of course, Aemon would have been next. Of course, both Rhaenyra and his brother Daemon Targaryen felt like they had a stronger claim to the throne than these kids that he had later on. And the nobles of Westeros are divided on the matter, and so civil war. By the end of the first season, that war it hasn't quite begun, but the first shots have been fired, namely in the encounter between Aemon Targaryen and Lucerys Targaryen, Rhaenyra's child. This sort of goes horribly wrong when Aemon chases Luke and loses control of his dragon, Vhagar. Vhagar is an ancient, huge dragon, one of the first three that came to Westeros with the Conqueror, and gets the smell of blood and just goes and absolutely destroys the younger boy and the smaller dragon. And of course, this is heartbreaking to Rhaenyra, who also then has a monstrosity of a stillbirth and is just in a position of grief and tragedy and anger, and her and her uncle husband Daemon are itching for revenge and blood, and that's where we're left off. Like, things are about to go very, 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 very badly for everyone involved. And in this trailer, you see, Alicent saying, many people will die. You see Rhaenys, the sea snake's wife, and Viserys's older sister. You see her talking about how there's no war more frowned upon by the gods than a war between kin, and no war more bloody than a war between dragons. And really, this isn't the first time two competing factions in Westerosi history have fought with dragons. there was previous, previous civil war between Targaryens, but this is the bloodiest and the biggest civil war in Targaryen history. The Dance of Dragons, it's called, and it looks like season 2. And I mean, I've read the book, so I kind of know the trajectory. Although they do change things, I think they've changed quite a few things, but a lot of them in ways that I find very compelling. But we had a lot of like slow, like world building, slow character drama, establishing who these characters are, big time jump, all this stuff in season 1. I think season 2 is going to be much more like warfare, like bloodshed, big epic stuff, which I'm very much looking forward to. I think that they really didn't lean into that very heavily in the first season. We had kind of that conflict between Daemon and Corlys, the Sea Snake, and they were fighting against that group. I can't remember what they're called, but there was like the crab guy. I don't know. They're like pirates, and there was some like decent kind of iffy battle scenes there. But really, season 1 is much more character driven. Season 2 looks like it's, in this trailer you see the knights, the armies moving, people racing on horseback through the forest. Yeah, things are going to get crazy. And 4 seasons, honestly, this, except for, towards the end of this whole bloody story, most of it is just warfare. A bunch of warfare and a bunch of dragon battles. Such a bloody, bloody, horrible war. So many people die. And honestly, this is pretty in keeping with the themes and the sort of vibe in Game of Thrones, but there's just even fewer people to root for. Like I was saying before, like nobody gets out of this with clean hands. Nobody here is just a heroic figure. Everyone is doing what they have to do to win this war, and it's pretty grim. So I'm not sure how that exactly translates to 4 seasons. I think there's going to have to be kind of the 4th season is going to need to spend some time kind of on the resolution, what comes after the war as well. But I'm excited. Summer 2024. No release date yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. This trailer was definitely exactly what I needed today. Really exciting stuff. I do think that the casting here is great. The direction here is great. It's a very, very different show than Game of Thrones. And honestly, for me at least, having been so let down by the ending of that show, it's great to come into something where they're clearly taking it seriously. There's a real Shakespearean undercurrent in the first season, very King Lear-esque. And now I think we're going to be moving more like towards Henry V, into the full-blown war. And I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you think of this trailer and the show in general. What did you think of season 1? Are you excited for season 2? It is a very different beast than Game of Thrones, but it still has that great medieval fantasy that really no other show has been able to capture quite so well as Game of Thrones and then House of the Dragon. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thank you so much for watching. Peace.